You guys, I have the most beautiful, wonderful news. I swear it almost made me cry. I'm not kidding. You see, I thought that I would never find it. A real man in Britain. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I have met a couple of real men in Britain when I was visiting. Specifically, it was Adam and Stanley. I think that was their names. And I don't wanna come across as okay, fine, I'll just throw the political correctness away. You see, they were working class men, and I know, like, I've already snooped and understood that by British standards, their voices would not count because they're working class men, even though everything they said was perfectly perfect. Anyway, other than Adam and Stanley, of course, I haven't met any British men who could stand up and voice their opinions on camera because, first of all, they belong to the right class to even appear on camera, which is a problem in Britain. And second, because they're actually saying what needs to be said. You see, yesterday I brought up the Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, and he pretends to be some sort of conservative, and I told you guys, like, he is conservative KGB agent. I mean, not really KGB agent, but the way he talks brings nothing to the table. So there are so many excuses that I've heard from middle-class men in Britain, which I'm sure are true. One of them is that you cannot say Islam. If you want to criticize Islam, you have to emphasize that it's political Islam. Now check this out. Okay, first I should maybe say who I'm talking about. So I'm talking about Tim Davis, who is an ex-RAF pilot who came to Andrew Gold for an interview, Heretics, and he said everything as is. He said what the Brits need to hear. And to be honest, Andrew Gold, he brought people that said similar things to some capacities, but what they all had in common is that they weren't very white, which is, I don't want to be judgmental, but they clearly came from a place where they knew the culture they were talking about, and they tried to hint to, to like what needs to be done, but I don't know how much the message went through. And honestly, I don't think they were as blunt as this dude here. Tim Davis here is the one righteous man in Sodom, like Sodom and Gomorrah, whatever way you pronounce it in English. Anyway, one might point out that Andrew Gold himself, who facilitated that conversation, really cushioned up the conversation so that it would be say whatever you need to say, however you need to say it. But he's a Jew, so it doesn't count. No offense. I'm racist like that sometimes. Anyway, a real Brit, my guess is. And he's partly Welsh. And I also said he's like partially German. But, I think the Brits are like Germanic people. Like, I don't know, whatever. German, Welsh. Mostly it's English enough. English enough as far as I'm concerned. So first thing first, something I've been told is that you cannot say Islam. You have to say political Islam when you are opposing Islam. And you have to pretend it's just like the political branch of Islam that is problematic, but Islam is perfect and beautiful. But I want to say that throughout the conversation, they didn't say political Islam here. They used the word Islam. Listen, this is like music to my ears.
What I'm saying is Islam isn't compatible with the West. And that fundamentally is where I stand with it. I just don't want it in the UK. I don't want it in any form in the UK. I mean, if we're going to have it in the UK, let's have it manageable. If we're going to talk about Islam, we can. But, I think when it comes down to community, they have, I think, a pretty solid community. Mm-hmm. Although if you want to talk about Islam in the community and when it comes to raping young white girls, we can talk about that as well.
Can I say how beautifully he said, he didn't say grooming gangs, he didn't say, he said raping young white girls. How beautiful. How straightforward. You see, you can do it if you want, sweethearts. You can. You see, here's a man. Learn. This is like, look, that's a man. This is how a man talks. Learn. It's possible.
We can talk about that as well, because I didn't see anyone in the Pakistani community calling that out. 10% of all Pakistani Muslim men in Telford were convicted of raping white girls.
Muslim men. Beautiful.
So where's the women marching down the streets for that? Where are the Pakistani Muslim women saying,
yeah, they're afraid.
This is not right? I'll tell you where they were. They were celebrating their men when they were sent down. They were saying, love you, daddy, when he got sent down.
Yeah, well, what other option do they have, really?
So when we talk about community cohesion, it's not always a good thing necessarily. And I think that needs to be addressed as well.
Yeah, this is something that I think a lot of people don't realize about those grooming gangs or our gangs. Mohan Singh was saying it's not gangs like.
Okay, Andrew, almost. You used grooming. Like he literally said rape, and you could have said the R word like properly. Like you didn't even censor him, so.
Mobs or mafias or these sort of people out on the street go, it's people's families.
Sure.
And his understanding of it, and Mohan Singh is a Sikh who's very much involved in the Sikh and Hindu and Islamic communities. He's very much a part of all of that.
Exactly. It's part of the family dynamics to be that kind of psychopathic, molesting person, culturally, domestically accepted in the community, not frowned upon. Beautiful, beautiful.
That he's intertwined with it all, is that it's the women know, the wives know, the kids know, everyone's sitting around at dinner, and it's almost like an unsaid thing. Probably, I don't imagine that the wives are going, "Wahaha, good, you're going out and doing this and that."
Yeah, of course.
They just know they have no power.
Of course,
that's really scary.
Well, it is in the UK now. If you want to go out into Qatar, UAE,
that's really scary. Beautiful. That's really scary. Beautiful. Beautifully said. All right, there is another point here.
Not here. Now, this is the other thing, isn't it? So no Christian in those countries can be in government.
Now listen to this beauty. Listen to what it has to say about Muslims, Islam in politics. I mean that. Look how beautiful.
Absolutely right. Now, this is the other thing, isn't it? So no Christian in those countries can be in government. Whereas we allow Muslims to be in government here. And so this is something else we need to consider as well, because we know that certain communities vote on a certain way because someone tells them to do it. And I don't think really Christians necessarily do that. But I do think that conversation needs to be had. There's a lot of conversations we need to be had that aren't being had. And
okay, to be fair, I do feel like Mr. Carl Benjamin would be able to say something like that. Like point out hypocrisy. I feel like this is in the realm of possible.
And
honestly, I don't follow him that closely, so I don't really know. I just wanted to point out a beautiful conversation, and that because there are so many excuses in the comments, and there were so many excuses I've heard while traveling Britain. And I want to say, here is a man that faces a camera, clearly ethnic Brit, and speaks up his mind.
And, what are we doing? It's almost as if it's come so far now that we should just all shut up and let what happen happen. It's going to happen, isn't it? So there's going to be a spark that kicks it off. And I think, looking at other countries, we'll probably see that before it comes here. But you're right. But also, let's not excuse it. So that's what a lot of people do. They say, well, it's the community. This is why it happens because it's part of their culture. Not in the UK, it's not.
No.
I mean, for every one of me sat in front of you, there's another 100,000 of me thinking exactly the same thing. And
let's take a moment to appreciate all the working class men in the UK that their voices are being silenced until Mr. Tim here came to say what the good working class people think. I'm sure middle class people, some of them think that way, I think, but I don't know, seriously, honestly speaking, even if you try to, my experience is that if you ask them anything about the grooming gangs, they cripple and go like that in front of you. It's very, very weird.
And I meet them. I meet these men.
Terrorists, all of us.
All of us terrorists.
Yes.
All of us going to be in jail. And we can be very angry. The thing about Britishness, if you want to term that, or Englishness, and I prefer to use Englishness because Britishness is an export variant where anyone that comes in a rubber dinghy now can be British, can't they?
Sure.
I'm English. I'm half Welsh. I'm actually a bit eighth German as well. It's all a bit of a mix, but still, I'm from these lands, and this is where my family came from. all of us have a responsibility to do something about this.
All of us have responsibility to do something about it. There are so many desperate, like, Brits who feel like it's out of their hands and that they can do nothing. They don't even try. They barely, like, they're so apathetic, like deflated, unmotivated. They kind of decided to lay down and die. No, all of us, worldwide, we have a responsibility. Even a woman, honestly.
In a way that is, of course, not inflammatory or violent. I've got to say that, haven't I? Because else we're going to have jail.
See how beautifully he added the caveat? Obviously, not in an inflammatory or violent way. Otherwise, I have to say that. Otherwise, I'll go to jail. Honesty. Honesty is important.
Yeah. But you have to protect your families, you have to protect your communities and stuff. This is,
You have to protect your families. There is nothing that comes before protecting your family and the next generation. Thank you, team.
Very similar. Individual ministers can't change anything. Now, the Prime Minister can, but they make it difficult for them as well.
And this is also something I talked about. Who should take responsibility in Britain if everybody claims that they can't do anything? I actually talked about it in one of my videos about how it's irresponsible to make people believe that the government is responsible and the government is responsible. Everybody is responsible. You are supposed to be checking the government all the time. You are the safety net of democracy. Every person has responsibility.
But individual ministers have people working underneath them and they just, they block stuff. So I don't think anything will change.
Are we unsavable?
No, I don't think we are because we're English.
Now, what it's going to say next is exactly what you have to prepare yourself mentally that would probably happen. Because, I've made this live yesterday and I explained that once you get to a certain psychological state, there is no way out. So there is only one solution. You can continue yourself, except it's so clear from the other side. They shout it all the time. There is only one solution. And it's so clear what they mean. But sometimes, reverse it.
And we just, in the end, what we'll do is we'll just go and kill everyone in the whole country. And that's all we've ever done.
Yes, because you're refusing to face what's in front of you while you can still enforce the law properly. But right now, I don't think you can anymore. Seriously. I've been there. I've heard the police forces captured, bureaucracy captured. The only way is to somehow try to infiltrate those, keep low profile until you climb the ladder and you pretend to be part of the regime that is oppressing the native population. Yeah. And you think that you're not in the same situation or coming close to the same situation that Iran is at? You are. I mean, you might want a countryside police people to come to be like reinforcement, because I'm guessing there, unlike London or Luton or Birmingham, there are more chances that the people there are more in favor of law and order. But, you should check those possibilities out. You know your country. You should know your countries. That's why you are supposed to be the ones that take responsibility.
And we will, and it will come to a flashpoint.
You don't really think that.
You're an Englishman. I'm an Englishman. I've got Welsh ancestry. I've lived in Scotland honestly, I can't see anything else happening. What would you see happening?
Well, my ancestry, the ancestry thing is a complicated one, isn't it? I don't.
Well, as a Jew, doesn't count.
That's just ridiculous.
But the thing is, there's no alternative. So, do you know what the Sikh community did when their girls were?
So this is the conversation I had with Adam when I explained how Jewish women can walk safely in Israel. And, some things happen off the records. And I think you'll understand when you listen to that.
Were abused. You're aware of what the Sikh community did. They didn't have as much of a problem with it as we did because they took
have a
it
brain.
under control themselves. And that's what Sikhs do. So there are a lot of people that sort of aren't around anymore, it seems, because the Sikhs were very much, we abide by the law in the UK. I think as Englishmen we do. But I think when the law, when you've got the Defence Secretary saying
I think there needs to be like some kind of unwritten verbal agreement between people and the police where at some point, if there is something that is like that and the police doesn't do anything, they have to look the other way. That's just the only fair way to handle that situation.
borders are open, as I said on my YouTube channel, all right, we'll arm ourselves then. If I wasn't allowed to lock my front door at night, I've got a family to protect. Do you not think I haven't got a bat next to the, you know what I mean? Of course I've got weapons in the house.
But this all sounds very American to me. And I just wonder if there's an appetite in the English, or maybe not appetite the right word, because I think there is probably an appetite.
Sure.
But if there is the sort of, if people are prepared the way that you are enough, I think people just...
So Andrew here also faced the same kind of Brits I've been facing in my comment section. Seriously? You have got to trust and elevate the working class more, because I think they're the only option you have. Because like they still have their, they have all the parts to function as men. Mm-hmm.
People just sort of living, walking about, going, doo-doo-doo.
I've seen it coming through town today. Yeah, absolutely. People are oblivious. People got headphones in on public transport. I get that, but no one's looking over their shoulder. I'm the guy with the back to the door. I'm at one end of the carriage and I'm looking through the whole carriage. I've walked through one carriage already just to check, and I'm on the other carriage. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking long and distant, and I'm not living in fear. But I'm not the guy that's going to have someone next to me attacked whilst I'm walking around a town. I've always got my wife on the inside of the curb, so I'm close to the traffic and stuff. So, there's things that when my wife goes into London, I tell her, when you're going to check your phone, walk into a shop first. But we don't teach these things.
Yeah. Also, I think he kind of said it, hinted at it. Look around and see if people need help. In Israel, we have a law called Lo Ta'amod al Dam Racha, which is literally from the Bible, meaning if somebody needs help, you must help them. You cannot just stand by as somebody is being attacked. So instead of just looking down on your phone, you have to also be responsible to your environment.
I mean, do you see, let's say, a lot of people are concerned that within 10 years, 15 years, Islamic parties will gain power in the UK, just democratically.
Sure, yeah, they will.
So then will the English or the immigrants who feel part of this, or the British or whatever it is, will they be passionate enough to fight through undemocratic,
I think they will,
means?
because of course they will.
Passionate enough to fight through undemocratic means beautifully put to go through the censor, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I guess they can get asylum somewhere, worst case scenario. And then we can cry for what the UK had been, clearly not anymore. And then we cannot have an Islamist country with nuclear weapons.
Of course they will.
You think there would be
I think historically that's who we are. You have to,
Wow.
the language of the world is English. If you look at British colonialism, we took over the world. But I think back in 1925, 25% of the world, in 1925, 25% of the world was occupied by the British and was speaking English.
We're very different to the people
From this little island. The size of us, it's ridiculous.
All empires fall.
We just get bored.
You know what would be funny? If it would be like a coalition of former colonies like Israel, America, and India, that would be like, you know what, we have to liberate Britain from the Pakistanis that took over.
We go and take over the world and we just,
so funny.
You know what I mean?
Empires fall, though.
Of course they do. Empires fall, and America's falling at the moment, and China's rising up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fascinating. But all I know is when there's no hope left, then you may as well go out with a massive bang, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think, as you said, when you go to someone's country, you become a guest in their country, and then you earn the place to stay. And I think with a lot of immigrants, I'm not saying that because that's the wrong thing to say, because I don't believe that at all. I've got to be very careful with the words we use, of course. I'm saying that.
It's you have to be, otherwise you're going to be in jail for way longer than actual rapists do.
that would be good advice to people that came to the UK, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just be a guest for a bit.
Well, I would if I went to Qatar.
You know what's the problem is that nobody believes you. Nobody believes that the British police would do anything. So when they hear something like that, they don't get threatened because it's like empty talk. They can do whatever they want. Who's going to stop them?
Or Dubai.
Well, you'd have to, yeah.
I'm not going to go drinking vodka in the street.
No, I mean, give it a go.
As I do, as is my one.
Yeah. Wherever you go, respect the law. Yeah, the UAE and all those countries, they know what's that about. They would just throw them to wherever is needed so that they wouldn't be a problem. Sometimes Middle Eastern problems require Middle Eastern solutions, and that is my tip for you today. Dear Britain, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and please consider supporting this channel. There are links below, PayPal, or Buy Me Coffee, or Patreon, whatever works for you. I really do appreciate it. It's what keeps me going. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and see you later.